Yeah, but like you said, I think the important things that we'll watch the next couple of days, number one, when does it form and where does it form? Sometimes that first center can be a little surprising to kind of where it pops up. If even a little jog to the south or a jog to the north, that can have some pretty long-term implications to where it goes. And then, like you said, how strong it gets, how quickly, that'll determine how easily it is to steer it. And then beyond that, then we'd want to watch more about all the pretty complicated upper level pattern. Where's the trough setting up? How strong is the ridge? There are some things going on there. I saw one of the models had an upper level low in the southeast. That's not always something we want to see. So we'll keep an eye out, I think, right? Not stressing yet, but we'll watch later if need be. I usually start to get worried if it enters the Caribbean and is already heading in that northwestern direction, like if it were passing between Puerto Rico and the Dominican or something. That tends to be when we want to be a little bit more on alert.
Yeah, you start to see that kind of northwest jaunt right when it gets down there. And by the way, that's the warmest water in the Atlantic Basin into the Gulf. So that's actually, the further north it goes, it's marginal. Aaron still has a lot of upwelling from Aaron to the north, so much more favorable environment down to the south. But yeah, one of the things, looking at the super ensemble there, you see the spread. That's the model guidance telling you there's a lot of uncertainty because the fact that you have so many north and south, that's the models telling us, hey, we don't know yet. There's still a lot of uncertainty and a wide range of possibilities. And the fact that we have some near South America and then one east of Bermuda should tell you that's a pretty big spread, even for this early on.
Right. This means don't cancel your beach trip if you have one for 2 weeks from now. But also keep paying attention because there is some threat in the Atlantic, and we want to make sure we know where it's going, and we'll certainly keep you posted. But all of this is normal. Hurricane season is normal. The Carolinas are always having some threats in hurricane season, and this probably, we don't even know if it's a threat for us yet, but it won't be the last one that we wonder about. There will be a couple more, I'm sure, too.
No, and who knows, by this time next week, we might have another system to worry about. You don't know. And next Wednesday, Tim, what's the date? September 10th. It's the peak day of the hurricane season. So you need to be paying attention. This time of year is like monitoring the forecast every couple of days. Obviously, we'll be tracking it more going into tomorrow, and we'll talk more about the storms probably that we have over the weekend. But that's all the time we have for this evening. Stay tuned for more Impact News coming up.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for Live Impact News. I'm Vanessa Rufus. We are starting things off with a big announcement out of Gastonia on the crime front, and really an effort to tackle crime better, according to Gastonia Police. Police just unveiled today, just a couple hours ago, the Real-Time Crime Center, as they call it. And they say this is going to really enhance their ability to serve the public and combat crime in the Gastonia area and beyond. Let's listen into the announcement from, once again, just earlier today.
Ways. Most importantly, it's going to save lives. In the towns and cities that have implemented real-time crime centers like this, they have seen it work. They've seen it save lives for a number of reasons. The coordination of all of the different pieces of technology that are going to help law enforcement reduce response time, find perpetrators, keep citizens safe, keep themselves safe, is a major step forward for this entire community. I'm really grateful that folks here, local leaders, law enforcement leaders, decided to make this a priority. You are going to feel great about having made this investment. When you talk to the handful of other towns and cities in North Carolina that have made this investment, none of them regret it. They all feel really good about the decision to do this. And there aren't that many. To be clear, as of today, Gastonia is on the forefront of innovative law enforcement because of this investment in real-time crime. There are only a handful of places in this state that really have operational capabilities like this. And it is up and operational as of today, actually as of recently, and they had a good, successful early use case yesterday that I think you're going to hear a little bit more about. So my gratitude to the local leaders, and for community members who are just now learning about this investment. This is a great investment on your behalf to keep you, your friends, and your family safe. I think I'm going to be followed by your esteemed District Attorney, Travis Page.
Thank you, Jeff. Mr. Attorney General, I know you as a law school classmate. It's an honor for you to be back here in Gaston County, especially here as also a former assistant district attorney in our office. And so thank you, Chief Conard, for your leadership, for making today happen. Thank you to our city council, our city administration, for what you've done to support this endeavor. And again, thank you, Attorney General Jackson, for making this day possible, for what you did as a congressman for Gaston County. Today, what we could only previously envision in the movies and on television becomes a reality for the people of Gaston County. The technology of the 21st century is here in Gastonia at this police department today. And we are going to use it in our battle against crime. It's a testament to our commitment and our dedication to protecting and serving, and it's a testament to our desire for the people of Gastonia to live with safe streets, safe homes, and safe schools. Today, with the public's partnership, we will have the same capability to be able to respond in real time to crime across this community, to give our officers and our SWAT teams and our response teams eyes and ears inside of our shopping centers, our malls, our places of worship in times of crisis. Our law enforcement will have the ability to conduct, as we saw firsthand yesterday in the takedown of a local drug dealer, the ability to conduct and execute operations across multiple locations simultaneously while protecting our officers and sending them safely home to their families. So today we give thanks for this gift to our community, and we also ask for the public partnership. We ask for the public's buy-in and their ability to work with law enforcement to make this tool the tool that it can be for our community and to make our community safer. And so thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here for this exciting and monumental day for the City of Gastonia and the Police Department. Today we're dedicating and officially opening the Gastonia Police Department Real-Time Crime Center. It's a powerful new tool in our ongoing mission to protect and serve our community. This center represents the next step forward in modern policing, We're using flock safety technology and a network of cameras positioned strategically throughout the city, which gives us the ability to monitor public spaces in real time, quickly identify criminal activity, and respond faster and more effectively than ever before. This technology will allow our officers to instantly access critical information, from identifying vehicles involved in crimes to tracking patterns of crimes and helping us solving cases and missing person cases as well. Many of these cameras are here because our residents and businesses chose or will choose to give us access to their camera systems in order to make everybody safer in the city. The police are the public and the public are the police. That's been said since 1829, Sir Robert Peel, one of his 9 principles. And that holds true today. I mean, we can't do it by ourselves. If we don't have our community supporting us and involved with us, helping us to make this city safer, more eyes, the better. And so that partnership, we really depend on our community to partner with us, and we're very thankful for a great community here in Gastonia. I want to thank our mayor, members of council, also our city manager, Michael Peoples, our assistant city manager, Adrian Miller. Their vision, leadership, and continued support is what made this possible. I would also like to thank Dr. Tanya Taylor for taking an idea and making it a reality. Without her, the center wouldn't be here today. Assistant Chief Nancy Brogdon and Assistant Chief Randy Gant were also have been instrumental in the development of this real-time crime center. I would also like to thank our officers and staff who will be working diligently to turn information into action, and the community members who have embraced this partnership. We can't do it without you. In closing, I want to say that the Real-Time Crime Center is not just an investment in technology, it's an investment in public safety and the future of our city. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us today. And like every person before me has talked about this, we couldn't do today without all of our community partners, our partnerships within the city, everyone. And so the 2 individuals that I will introduce are part of those partnerships that we're going to be utilizing as we move forward. So you'll hear more from me when we move downstairs to actually see the Real-Time Crime Center, and we'll talk about those individuals who partnered with us to build the center. But right now I want to introduce Max Weinstein with flock safety. And so you have heard a lot about flock safety, but he's going to tell you a little bit more so that you understand what you'll see when we get downstairs. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. My name is Max, and I represent Flock Safety. Flock Safety is a technology company based out of Atlanta, Georgia, founded in 2017 with the mission to eliminate crime, and we believe in it. We believe in making safer communities, and we believe in doing it through technology. We provide technology solutions to public safety agencies and jurisdictions around the country. We partner with over 5,000 jurisdictions to provide technology support, hardware and software, in order to get police departments and assist police departments and public safety jurisdictions from moving from a traditional model of policing to a real-time model of policing like Gastonia has done. We're incredibly excited to be here. We're incredibly excited to see this project come to fruition. It has been a tremendous amount of work for the men and women of Gastonia Police and for the city, and we're really excited to have your trust as a partner in this process. Very happy to be here myself, and to the men and women of the police department, as somebody who came from a policing background, congratulations. This is really cool, and I think you're going to very much enjoy coming into work and having these tools at your disposal to better solve crime and more efficiently do your job.
I would also like to introduce Ms. Jennifer Killen. She is the director of Piedmont Community Charter School here in Gastonia.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very excited to be here and very excited for our school, Piedmont Community Charter School, to be a part of the Real-Time Crime Center. At Piedmont Community Charter School, we are committed to providing a safe and orderly environment where every student can learn, grow, and thrive. We believe that a secure campus is essential for fostering academic excellence and building strong character. This year marks our 25th anniversary serving families in Gaston County. Today, I am grateful for our partnership with the Gastonia Police Department that further solidifies the school's commitment to safety. Our collaboration with the Real-Time Crime Center represents a significant step forward in our campus safety and security measures. By integrating our school's existing security camera and systems with the center, we are creating an additional layer of protection for our entire school community. This means that in the event of an emergency, the Gastonia Police Department will have immediate access to critical information, allowing for a faster, more effective response. This initiative is designed to deter potential threats and to provide a swift, coordinated response should an incident ever occur. It is a testament to the Gastonia Police Department's dedication to community well-being, and we are grateful for their willingness to collaborate with us. Our commitment to privacy remains paramount. This program is for emergency response and prevention only, and all data will be handled with the highest level of security and in full compliance with all laws and regulations. The purpose is not surveillance, but protection. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Taylor and Assistant Chief Brogdon for sharing their vision and for partnering with us. This is a momentous day for our school and for the safety of our students and our staff, and thank you all.
Okay, so now we're going to open up for questions. I will not be able to answer all of them, so I will be turning to some of you to answer these questions. So we'll open the floor.
For the chief, this kind of, for layman's terms, just kind of tell the folks out in public how this layout works.
We'll let her more answer that.
So when our officers are out in the field, right, a call will come in, it will come through our dispatch center. Those calls are filtered out, and then they are assigned to a close officer or officer within that beat. We will have analysts in that room that will immediately see that call on our Live 911 as the call comes in. So that's even before an officer has been dispatched. So we'll immediately be able to look where the location is. We'll be able to look exactly where those cameras are surrounding the location. We can begin to look at who is present at the crime, or if it's a missing person, where did that missing person begin? Where are they going? Can we follow them? So something you'll see downstairs is that we are moving towards what's called a drone as a first responder. And so that will allow us to be able to move the camera in the event that something is happening. And so our analyst in that room will immediately begin looking at, do we know any information about those individuals already? Do they have any past criminal history? Do they have any past medical history that might be affecting things? And then we'll move forward through that to see if we can provide actual real-time information to our officers in the field to keep them safe and to keep our community safe. Yes?
If you can, there's always that question about Big Brother, and that is how much officers are watching you doing what you do every day and what the value of that is. The question is, are you under surveillance even though you're not under suspicion?
So I do not have enough staff to be looking at 300, 400 cameras a day. We are using this technology to keep our officers safe and our public safe and our community safe. And so no, if you are not committing a crime, we are not looking for what you are doing. If we are looking to find missing people, we are looking for missing children, we are looking to find individuals who are making the worst crimes happening in our city. So I'll also let Max speak about this a little bit. I think that will help you answer some of your questions. Max?
Sure. Yeah, we appreciate that question. There's always the question of Big Brother, and I think it's something that we as a company take really seriously. We have certain safeguards built in to ensure that every single movement made within our system, both software and hardware, is recorded and auditable by command staff, by administrators of the Real-Time Crime Center and of the police department. As Dr. Taylor said, I don't think there's a real-time center in this country that has the ability to watch every citizen, nor the rationale to do so. Good real-time centers are the backbone of them is good policy, and we have been and will continue to be involved with helping to ensure that Gastonia has access to other real-time centers around the country to model their policy based on precedent that's already been set elsewhere.
And while you're there, one other question in regards to predictive analytics. That is analytics that allow you to see when people are showing up in multiple locations for which they can become suspect. Can you talk to us about the AI and the system used there? Sure,
yeah. The AI within our system is not used for what a lot of people are familiar with. The term is predictive policing. Flock is not a predictive policing company. We utilize AI to make investigations, to make patrols safer. The reason that real-time is so effective is because the most dangerous part of this job, the most dangerous part of law enforcement is the unknown. And with this technology, we are for the first time able to start to quantify the unknown. And that's why it's so important and why it's so successful.
Are everyday citizens able to request video for incident and gain access to it if there was an incident somewhere a citizen was involved in? Are they able to request and gain access to video that's being recorded?
I'm going to let the Gastonia folks answer that question.
No, they will not be allowed access to our Flock cameras or our access to the video footage that we record.
We heard that there were other cities, other places in the country that uses this technology. Kind of, do you have like their response for that? What they've been talking about as far as how it's effective in their non-fighting?
So by being a partner to Flock, we have the access to over 5,000 different law enforcement agencies' cameras throughout the United States. And we have the ability to partner with 6,000 different commercial businesses throughout the United States. And some of the big chain companies such as Target, Lowe's, Home Depot, and Ulta are all Flock customers as well. So we have the ability to utilize their cameras.
So what have they been saying about technology that has been useful for?
Oh, there's so many success stories. We could name so many. Max, do you have one right off the top of your head that you'd like to tell?
I mean, honestly, there are so many that, sure. I'll just stand back here. I don't want to call out any, individual jurisdiction that aren't present today, but I'll say, from a statistics standpoint, agencies that have employed real-time solutions have seen an incredible organic growth in their solve rate and a reduction in their occurrence of crime. As Chief said before, Sir Robert Peel, whose 9 principles have established our law enforcement paradigm for North America and really the world, this feeds directly into that, and that is deterrence is the best. The best police department is the police department that doesn't have to respond, that doesn't have to arrest someone, and you will start to see that organically with a good real-time solution.
Any numbers that you may throw out there?
There is an agency that I'm familiar with that have a 100% clearance rate on homicides, and this agency, prior to implementing a real-time solution, is a large agency in a large metro area, had about a 63% clearance rate for their homicides. The last 4 years, their reporting, it's called NIBRS reporting or CompStat, have shown a 100% clearance rate for homicides. That is an incredibly powerful number, and that is not unique to that jurisdiction.
Can you talk about the cost of the full program?
I mean, no, because one, I'm not in sales, and Two, every single jurisdiction is unique in the solutions that they employ. It very much depends on the needs of your community and the needs of your department and what your goals are for your real-time implementation.
I did have one thing to say about the, well, sorry. I did have one thing to say about the expectation of privacy and the Big Brother situation, and I certainly understand how people wouldn't want to be videoed or for us watching them at all times. But it's really nothing new. You go in any Walmart, Target, Lowe's, Home Depot, at any point in time, you've got cameras. There's a lot of cameras in big business. And at any point in time, somebody could be following you around the store. There's no expectation of privacy in a public place. Okay, if you're in public, you're in a store, a gas station, whatever, if they've got a video, I mean, you're going to be recorded. I mean, it's plain and simple. So we're not going anything far outreach that's not already being done or being done and has been done for years and years and years. We're just bringing that to help us solve crime. Thank you.
What is the opt-in process for businesses, and do you automatically get to see their footage, or can you request it from them knowing that they haven't?
So there's some documents downstairs that each one of you can take with you, and it has a QR code, and it goes to our new website called Gastonia Safe. And on there, that gives you 3 different options. You can register your camera and just let us know, hey, I have cameras, it's at this address. If you have something, please contact me. There's another way you can integrate your cameras. So you can contact us or go through that QR code. It goes straight to Flock, and Flock will allow you to either come through what is called their API solution, or you can use one of their NVRs, which they plug directly into your camera system. And then we provide a memorandum of understanding with you, and we go through when are we allowed to access your cameras and when are we not allowed to. So that is what we do with the school systems as well. Yes.
And can I give you an example, just how it'll benefit? Let's say that a gas station on the other side of town, there's an armed robbery that comes into dispatch. Normally, the call would come into dispatch. Dispatch would issue it out to an officer. The officer will be en route emergency traffic to the armed robbery in progress. The officer, now depending on staffing and things, the officer might be coming from a long distance. They might have been in a different district having to travel across town, whoever. But regardless, it's going to take time. With this technology, when our employees in the Real-Time Crime Center hear this call come out, they can immediately, if it's a partner with us and you have a wing, we could immediately access the camera system, probably catch the person inside the store, have a full clothing description, things of that nature, because a lot of times people can't remember what they were wearing and specifics. And if there's outside cameras, we can see what kind of vehicle they're in and which direction to travel they're heading. That will give us information that we need that is going to help us capture them a lot quicker than normal. And oftentimes, because a lot of times on these types of calls, they're gone before we arrive. And so we're playing catch up. This just evens the playing field.
This is for the chief. How did the idea come about?
How did the idea come about? Well, the Real-Time Crime Center? It's something that a couple other jurisdictions across the United States had. It started out as just an idea. It was presented to Dr. Taylor as well. She is the brainchild behind it. I would definitely say she has, if it wasn't for her, we would not be here today. There's no doubt about it. But it was something that we all talked about. It's something that council and management supported us on. And we just knew it was going to be a game changer. In today's policing, it's not like it was, 32 years ago when I started. Everybody wanted to get into, a lot of people wanted to be police officers. It's not like that now. We don't have an overabundance. I felt privileged in 1993 when I was become a police officer. Because it was a stiff competition. There was a lot of people. For every 1 or 2 jobs, there was 20, 30 people putting in for that job. And so if you got picked, it was special. Now it's getting harder and harder and harder to find people that say, hey, I want to put on a badge and go to work. Being a police officer is about the only job you can go into work in blue and leave in orange. You make a bad mistake, you're going to prison the rest of your life. It's a heavy burden. So it's not something that everybody wakes up and says, hey, I want to go risk my life every day and get treated like crap. It's just not. I mean, let's face it. So, doing more with less and being smarter with our technology only really helps our community in the best way that we know how. And she knew that, and assistant chiefs and a lot of our employees have been behind this, and it's a great thing. Thank you.
We have time for one more question. Or we can.
And yeah, no further questions. And there you saw the announcement there from officials in Gastonia unveiling the Real-Time Crime Center. We want to take a quick break right now. So just a couple of minutes. We'll be right back on the other side with a couple of your headlines, including a little bit of sports talk. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Live Impact News. As promised, before we took our break, we've got a little bit of sports chat for you. We've got our Logan Campbell sitting down with Panthers cornerback J.C. Horn, of course, as we're getting ready for the start of NFL season and for the Panthers to kick things off on Sunday. So let's listen into their chat.
Whenever somebody said it usually hit me like if it flew by. A couple of those years I was injured. So I still feel young, but yeah, I'm getting up there.
Does it feel any different coming into this year?
Yeah, it feels a little different. Just having the same coaching staff back, we're real familiar with the style they want, their language that they use in the meeting rooms and stuff like that. It makes a difference on the field. So yeah, we got a good feeling going into this year.
Absolutely, there's a lot to be excited about. But you had a really big offseason. You had a baby girl.
Yeah.
Has that changed your mentality at all?
Yeah. It's more than. I'm thinking about her in everything I do, so it's not just for me anymore. Like when I wake up, I'm thinking about her, and when I'm out there, I'm thinking about her. So I got a bigger purpose than me now, and just like any old family is really my seed, and I just try to go hard every day for her.
Well, just seeing your smile, just when we mentioned her and you talked about her, how much has she changed your life?
Tremendously. It's the biggest blessing in the world. I always say, I said it a couple of times, like I always thought, getting drafted, to the NFL or to the NBA as a kid, I always thought that was going to be my, biggest accomplishment in life. But, having a kid, is nothing that tops that feeling. So, yeah, it's definitely a blessing.
Well, now you're wearing multiple hats. You're wearing a football and now a dad hat. How are you able to balance all of this?
Just when I'm in a building, staying dialed in on my job, and when I get home, it's time to be dad. Give give her and my girlfriend all my time, and just try to be there and be consistent doing both.
You have your first home game here in a couple of weeks. I'm assuming your daughter's going to be here. What's that moment you think going to be like when you see her in the stands wearing, your jersey, your little cheerleader outfit?
Yeah, I mean, it made me feel old a little bit. I remember being a rookie, seeing all the other older guys with all their kids, and I'm just like, man, I felt like that was so far away from me, but it's here now, and like I said, it's just a blessing, and I can't wait.
You mentioned earlier, you've dealt with some injuries in your career, but last year you said the biggest thing for you is to stay healthy. You did that. So what's your biggest goal coming into this year?
Just be more consistent as a player. Obviously staying healthy. That's, they say your best ability is availability. So obviously staying healthy. Just being consistent in my play. Trying to reach for the stars and be better and better. As the season goes on. So yeah, I'm excited for this year.
There is like a different feel to this defense. Just talk a little bit about the cornerback group and how you guys have developed and meshed over this preseason.
Yeah, getting, like I said, whenever you're getting the same guys back. And y'all have some of that chemistry, obviously you're going to get better.
But you're one of the older guys, so how are you stepping up and continuing to grow this leadership role on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, just trying to be more vocal. That's not really my strong suit. I'm kind of like a lead by example type of guy, but sometimes, like you said, I don't feel like I'm that old, but compared to our room, I am. And sometimes you got to be more vocal, just to give the other players confidence and show you got that belief in them to go out there and get the job done. So I've just been trying to work on that a little bit.
It's funny you say that because you and Bryce were kind of going back and forth all throughout training camp, and being more vocal than we've seen in the past. Where did that come from, and how are you guys bringing that out of each other?
Yeah, I mean, just fun trash talk. That's kind of always been me. Practice is a time to have fun, or whenever you playing football, it's a time to have fun. You can let loose a little bit. So Bryce he talked back, so to make it more fun. Going into each practice, knowing we got that competitive battle going on. But now the season's here, and it's time for us to team up and win football games, and inflict that on other opponents.
The season is here, and your first opponent is Jacksonville. Obviously, they drafted Travis Hunter. That's a guy that you're going to go head-to-head against. What's your mentality and what's your approach to facing a player like that?
Same approach. I got the same mindset every Sunday, regardless of who across from me.
And of course, much more NFL and Panthers specifically coverage coming up here on WCNC Plus at 9 o'clock tonight. We're going to turn the page, talk about a local headline we've been watching throughout the day, and we're following up on it tonight, coming up on the news at 11 here on WCNC Plus. You might remember in our earlier evening newscast, we talked about a man who admitted to killing his pregnant girlfriend last November. He pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. And we're hearing from the community right now in the sense of the larger picture here about domestic violence in an effort really to seek solutions. So our Siobhan Riley is joining us right now to give us a preview of the piece that she's working on for us this evening. Thanks so much for joining us here, Siobhan.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really tough story, and you're hearing from advocates in the community. What are people telling you tonight about how they hope this case, I guess, brings awareness, but also maybe sparks some changes in the community?
The woman I spoke with today, she's actually a domestic violence survivor. She was married for 8 years. She got out of that marriage last year. It's been a little over a year. And she's just really encouraging women and men and women, to remember what happens if you stay in those abusive relationships. It could turn deadly. And so her message today is just to avoid situations like this. She's actually a book writer. She wrote a book about her experience, and she just wants people to know that if you don't leave, it could lead into a situation that could be detrimental, and that's really her message to the community.
Yeah, I mean, so she spoke about her message and about this book. Does the book or does her messaging get into specifically how to leave, or, because we know that can be a difficult decision to make, and there are reasons why we know survivors choose not to make the decision, even though there are resources out there.
She talks about really having the mental space to say, I'm going to walk away. Yeah. And she just says for her that was really hard to do, because for her abuser kept saying, well, if you leave, your kids will be disappointed in you. If you leave, this will happen. So she said it first starts with the mental headspace. And she says you really have to say the words, I'm going to walk away.
Yeah. I know that you're diving into some of the domestic violence numbers as well in your piece. What are you seeing as far as, the data that's being tracked in North Carolina?
I talked to the North Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and we have reported this data before, but there were 92 DV homicides across the state last year. Now, what is interesting is that they told me today that we are actually on track to trend downward this year, and they say a lot of it has to do with the resources that are out there, even though they are facing some financial hurdles, but they do say the good thing is that those numbers are likely going to go downward. They don't get those numbers and the exact data until the beginning of the year, but based on what they're seeing, those numbers are going downward. But what is interesting is that data does reveal that 75% of the DV cases from last year stemmed from gun violence.
Wow.
And this case that we're talking about today, this woman and her unborn child were shot to death.
Yeah, I mean, really just terrible stories that we're seeing here. And we just alluded to the fact that this person in this specific case has admitted to the killing. We heard from relatives as well. I know that you're going to be including some of that perspective too in your story tonight.
Yes, we did talk with the mother earlier today. Jesse Pierre interviewed the mother earlier today, and the mother is basically saying there's no such thing as getting justice when you're talking about your daughter and your unborn child, or for her unborn grandchild. And so obviously they are happy to know that the suspect is facing could face up to 31 years in prison, but they're still devastated because they are just not understanding why this happened. But they did say this is the first step toward healing.
Yeah, well, just a tough story, but an important topic to really broach and bring awareness to. Siobhan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing your piece here at 11 on WCNC+. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes, so stick with us here on Live Impact News. And welcome back, everyone, to Live Impact News. Turning now to a discussion of a national scale, really, as folks are talking about health care and affordable coverage. We've got New York Congressman Hakeem Jeffries from just a couple of hours ago speaking on health care and his thoughts on concerns he has. Let's listen in to that earlier address.
Morning, everyone. Democrats, House Democrats remain completely united in our effort to lower the high cost of living for everyday Americans, fix our broken healthcare system, and clean up corruption in this town so we are actually delivering a government that makes life better for the American people. House Republicans are in complete disarray because they have no track record of accomplishment. with respect to making life better for the American people. Costs aren't going down in the United States of America. Costs are going up. Healthcare premiums are about to skyrocket and cost everyday Americans thousands of dollars more a year. That is a crippling increase in healthcare costs that Republicans are completely and totally responsible for visiting on the American people. Electricity bills are skyrocketing through the roof, in part because of the damage that Republicans have done to the ability for America to generate the power that it needs connected to the one big ugly bill. Donald Trump remains deeply unpopular. Democrats continue to win special elections all across the country. Their effort to gerrymander the midterm elections by rigging these congressional maps is going to backfire. And Republicans know that their one big ugly bill is deeply unpopular, so much so that they actually think they can improve the view that the American people have relative to the one big ugly bill by changing the name. No, the problem is not the name, which was chosen by Donald Trump and the sycophants in the House, of course, obliged. The problem is that you ripped away health care from millions of Americans. Hospitals are closing, including rural America. Nursing homes will shut down. Healthcare premiums, co-pays, and deductibles are skyrocketing. You stole food from the mouths of hungry children, seniors, and veterans, and all of that was done so Republicans could award their billionaire donors massive tax breaks. That is why the one big ugly bill is deeply unpopular. And no matter what branding change you undertake, that's the reality that you confront. Questions?
Morning. One at Crime and also one at Oversight. Tomorrow, House Oversight is expected to meet with another staffer of President Biden's. Are you concerned that this finger going into the midterm that this is a story that will just continue to forward?
Why are Republicans so obsessed with former President Joe Biden? What does any of that have to do with the fact that costs are through the roof, the cost of living is far too high, and Republicans haven't done a damn thing about it? One of the reasons why costs continue to go up, not down, is because Republicans have shown no interest in addressing the economy and building one that actually everyday Americans can afford.
And on crime, this week, DC's mayor pledged further cooperation with the federal government. Is this a sign that maybe other Democrats should follow her lead? I mean, this is clearly a big change of tone from the DC mayor. Also, you've been back now for a few days. Does DC feel any safer compared to when you guys went to DC?
I haven't seen a difference one way or the other, but I spent a lot of time in and around the Capitol. One thing I will continue to make clear is that we should support the Metropolitan Police Department, support the Chicago Police Department, support the New York Police Department, and support local law enforcement all across America. And what we should be doing is giving them the ability to do their jobs with the resources they need to continue to protect and serve. Republicans have actually cut funding for local law enforcement. What does that have to do with making communities safe? And so we're going to continue to make clear we're focused on keeping communities safe all across America. And in my humble opinion, the best way to do that is to support local law enforcement, local police departments, and local partnerships between the police and the community.
On that subject, the House Oversight Committee, particularly Republicans, are preparing a slate of like 14 or so bills to try and address DC. One of them is to potentially remove the local attorney general and place a political appointee who will be appointed by the president. How are House Democrats, as you're eyeing this develop, how are you all going to try and either prevent this, stop this, publicly look, or let the public know that this is happening?
Why are House Republicans so focused on the District of Columbia when there are more than 330 million Americans all across the country, many of whom they represent, whose lives Republicans have failed to improve, whose lives Republicans have failed to make more affordable, whose lives Republicans are ruining by ripping health care away from millions of Americans and closing down their hospitals, including in rural America. It's perplexing to all of us. They have a meeting earlier this week, and they're presenting information from the White House and the Trump administration and their political folks, which makes clear that their one big ugly bill is a complete and total disaster. And yet they continue to double and triple down on these matters that have nothing to do with improving the quality of life of the American people. It's strange to me. They continue to dig their own grave. Kevin?
Obviously, I'm sure you saw there was reporting in the New York Times and Politico in the last 24 hours that the Trump administration is toying with potential jobs for
That would be breaking news.
That would be breaking news. I'm wondering what first off, your reaction to all of this, and also put this within the context of, do you think you could assuage some of this outside headline if you were to take a position in this race?
I don't really fully understand the notion of the outside meddling and how it is going to benefit anyone, because Donald Trump and the Republican brand is toxic in New York City, as is the case in so many other parts of the country. It's speculation as far as I'm concerned right now, but I don't see it having any political benefit for any of the people who are allegedly connected to some effort led by Donald Trump and the administration to change the trajectory of the New York City mayoral race.
How long until stay tuned is no longer a TV's reality?
Stay tuned.
Have you made any progress in starting foreclosure negotiations, appropriations, and then if those do begin, or if they have begun, how much of a red line will this ACA issue be for Democrats?
Healthcare is a clear red line. We will not support a partisan Republican spending bill that rips healthcare away from the American people. House Republicans have launched an all-out assault on the health care of the American people. They have ended Medicaid as we know it. They are assaulting.
Folks are breaking in with some brand new information coming into the Live Impact News studio. We've just learned, according to NBC News reporting, that former President Joe Biden has recently undergone surgery to remove cancerous cells from his skin. Keep in mind, this does come several months after we all learned that he had a prostate cancer diagnosis. So now this is a skin condition. This was according to a spokesperson who confirmed this to NBC News just today. Sounds like he is recovering well, according to his personal office. The procedure is known as Mohs surgery. We're told this is often used to treat the most common forms of skin cancer. The procedure apparently removes layers of cancerous skin tissue until there are no cancerous cells that remain. We don't know exactly when the surgery actually happened, but NBC News is reporting that he was actually pictured leaving a church in Delaware late last month, and he had a large visible incision that was on his head. And we know that also he had actually undergone surgery to remove cancerous skin cells during his term as president. So once again, just learning here some breaking news. According to NBC News reporting here, former President Joe Biden has apparently recently undergone surgery to remove skin cancer. And this is coming after that prostate cancer diagnosis. We'll return you back now to the address in progress we were listening into from a bit earlier today. Congressman Hakeem Jeffries speaking on health care policies.
billion cut because of the Republican one big ugly bill. Hospitals and nursing homes and community-based health clinics are going to close because of what Republicans have done with their all-out assault on health care in America. We've been very clear as Democrats. We will not support a partisan Republican spending bill that guts health care from the American people. Period, full stop. We've said it publicly, we've said it privately, we'll continue to say it. And Republicans clearly don't get it because the Labor H appropriations bill that House Republicans support continues the assault on public health and the health care of the American people. What do they not understand about the moment that we find ourselves in? And why their one big ugly bill is so unpopular and has been rejected by the American people.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Let's talk about the farm bill. The extension will soon run out. There doesn't seem to be much consensus between the two sides about how to move forward. What's your level of concern given all of the other issues at play? I know government funding is top of mind. I know the DC takeover, but what's your message to Americans about the farm bill given the SNAP cuts that were in the reconciliation law? Just give me your sense of your level of concern about the lack of progress on a 5-year farm bill.
Well, extreme MAGA Republicans have made it very difficult to achieve a bipartisan farm bill as a result of including in the one big ugly bill the largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history. That's extraordinary. These Republicans are going to cause people in their own districts to go hungry, including children and seniors and veterans. I have complete and total trust in the Democrats on the Ag Committee, including Ranking Member Angie Craig, and we'll see what House Republicans put on the table, but they have not been acting in good faith. And as a result, they are making life more challenging for the farmers of America, including by creating a difficult situation in terms of trying to arrive at a bipartisan farm bill for the next 5 years. Yep.
Thank you, appreciate it. You mentioned you thought redistricting was going to backfire on Republicans. I'm curious, why do you think that? And more broadly, is there a concern that if district lines are constantly changing around the country, that it might discourage people from running for Congress if they know that there's so much instability?
We need one national redistricting standard to prevent the type of toxic shenanigans that Donald Trump and Republicans are engaging in by trying to gerrymander congressional maps in the middle of the decade to try to rig the midterm elections. That's a Democratic position, and it has always been that. The problem, of course, is that we have Republicans who are trying to play by a different set of rules. And the Democratic position has been, we will not play by a different set of rules. We will continue to forcefully, aggressively, and immediately respond, just as we did in California. Republicans were apparently operating under the misguided notion that we were going to let them get away with trying to rig the midterm elections without a forceful response. They were badly mistaken. And at the end of the day, it's not going to work out well for them. And they will not be able to mathematically rig the midterm elections, which is what their original intention was when this process started. House Republicans know they can't mathematically get to an outcome that will stop us from taking back the majority. We know it. The only person who doesn't seem to know it yet is Donald Trump.
when you say backfire, though, are you talking about a voter backlash or just a Democratic response in states like California?
Both. There is a clear voter backlash. Even in Texas, this effort is unpopular. And by the way, Republicans took a gerrymandered map in Texas that already violated the Voting Rights Act, and they made it worse. And so what they've done is strengthen our case that the Texas congressional map violates both the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution and Section 2 of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. And we look forward to the court hearing that is going to take place next month.
You said earlier this week that everyone in your caucus members, regardless of generation, has embraced generational change. I spoke to several of your members between then and now. A lot of them don't embrace generational change. They say it in and of itself is not a virtue and that seniority is being overlooked.
Who exactly would that be?
I spoke to Eleanor Holmes Norton, for example, John Larson. All these people are facing primary challengers who say it's time for, well, not Holmes Norton, but Steny Hoyer as well. A lot of these people are facing primary challengers who say it's time for a new generation of leaders.
Let's take Steny Hoyer as an example, and we can go down the list of each and every one of those people that you mentioned. Steny Hoyer was the House Majority Leader, a phenomenal leader for the country. So was Nancy Pelosi, and so was Jim Clyburn. It's not hypothetical that they embraced generational change. They all decided not to seek re-election to their leadership positions voluntarily, and were very explicit that they were going to open the door for a new generation of Democrats to lead the caucus moving forward. That happened. It's not hypothetical. No one's making that up. That's what's called embracing generational change. And the generational change that took place in the House of Representatives several years ago was unanimous for every single one of us. Now, every single one of you follow the last several caucus races to lead committees. And whether we're talking about the Natural Resources Committee, the House Judiciary Committee, the Ag Committee, most recently the Oversight Committee, I think what we've seen is that the caucus has embraced leadership from a new generation of members. Every single one of those races. Now, with respect to individual contests back at home, I strongly support John Larson's re-election because he's a great advocate. He's a forceful advocate. And so when I'm talking about generational change and how it's been embraced by members of the House Democratic Caucus, I'm talking about from a caucus perspective, facilitating the next generation of leaders as it relates to both traditional House leadership positions. We led on generational change, House Democrats. And we can thank Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer and Jim Clyburn for that. In 2022, 3 years ago. And that has continued as we've seen races for committee leadership positions.
Can I just quickly follow up?
Yeah.
Activists from groups like Run for Something, Leaders We Deserve, Justice Democrats, they say inter-caucus generational change isn't enough, that it has to happen at the district level. Do you disagree with that?
I think that the House of Representatives is about renewal. It's one of the great things about the House. But every single congressional district and the electorate in those congressional districts are going to make a decision about who is best positioned to represent that congressional district moving forward. That's an individual decision that should be made by voters in these congressional districts all across the country. House Democrats and every single member of this great institution, we're on a 2-year employment contract. That was by design in terms of the framers. They said, we want this institution to be the closest to the American people. We run for office knowing that we're on a 2-year employment contract. We have to constantly go back to the voters to have that contract renewed based on whether we are doing a good job or not. That's a decision that will continue to be made by the voters in each and every one of these congressional districts, and they'll make it in the context of primaries in some instances, or they'll make it in the context of general elections in others. Thanks. Paul?
Thank you. What do you think about the decision of President Trump to remove 6 of the 7 members of the Puerto Rico Fiscal Board? One of those is a person that you recommended. And I would like to know if the White House already contacted you about the new recommendation.
I'm in close touch with Nydia Velasquez, as well as Pablo Hernandez, and other leaders in the caucus as it relates to the White House's continued attack on the ability of Puerto Rico to actually meet its fiscal responsibilities in a way that lifts up the people of Puerto Rico as opposed to having things dictated to them. And so we'll have more to say on this issue, but I'm going to say it in partnership with the leaders of the House Democratic Caucus who have close connections to the island, including the island's resident commissioner.
But any communication from the White House?
No.
No.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Leader. The DNC posted in support of Zoran Mamdani's campaign yesterday a statement of Mamdani saying, "We welcome anyone to join this movement." You've met him twice, and stay tuned, declined to endorse him. Are you upset with your party on this issue?
I don't know. I guess people are going to have to figure that out. If that's the question you think that my constituents are asking me, because they're not. Thanks.
A number of Democrats are supporting a congressional stock trading bill that does not apply as of yet to the vice president or the president. And they're saying they, if necessary, would sign on to a discharge petition. Would you ever vote to advance a bill like that does not cover President Trump?
We have to clean up corruption in Washington, D.C. That's in Congress, that's in the Supreme Court, and that's with the administration. In terms of the congressional stock ban, it is clearly something that has to happen. And Democrats have been leading on this effort. In terms of the individual bills, we'll have to have a caucus conversation about what is the best approach and what's achievable. But this is the most corrupt administration in American history. Donald Trump and his administration make Richard Nixon look like a choir boy. And so clearly something is going to have to be done. But figuring out the right legislative vehicle is the subject of a discussion by the caucus. Okay. Back.
Thank you. Can I ask about 2 separate issues? First, are you in favor of the Democrats holding a midterm convention? And then second, have you identified who you want named to a January 6th select committee that was approved yesterday?
I'm in conversation with Jamie Raskin about the January 6th so-called committee, and we will aggressively and forcefully push back against any effort to try to whitewash what happened on January 6th, where a mob of violent individuals attacked the Capitol as part of an effort to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election at the direction of Donald Trump. With respect, what was your first question?
You're in favor of a midterm convention?
Yeah, no one has talked to me about this idea of a midterm convention, so it's not a proposal that has been subject to any serious discussion at this point. Last question.
Yeah, the president is hosting Mark Zuckerberg, Tim Cook, Bill Gates, among others, 2 tech CEOs tonight at the White House for dinner at the Rose Garden. I wonder what your reaction to that is.
Yeah, I don't know what the subject of the discussion is, so I'll reserve comment, but it would be useful if the president actually decided to convene a discussion with people on Capitol Hill related to how we lower the high cost of living in the United States of America, fix our broken healthcare system, and clean up corruption. That's what Democrats are focused on, and it's clear that Republicans have a very different agenda.
And I just want to follow
Thank you, everyone.
The DOJ is launching a program, Lisa Cook, and your reaction to that.
Listen, the Department of Justice continues to try to weaponize the federal government against people who have declined to bend the knee to Donald Trump and his extremism. We will not be intimidated by the Department of Justice. We're going to push back forcefully and aggressively and righteously.
All right, folks, and with that, we are going to take a quick break here. We'll be back in 2 minutes on the other side with more of your headlines. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks so much for sticking with us for Live Impact News. I'm Vanessa Rufus. We're turning now to the Senate Finance Committee hearing that we saw earlier today. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. getting a bipartisan grilling and pushback, to be quite frank, including some questioning by North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis. We're going to listen in now to part of that interchange between the two.
Secretary Kennedy, thank you for being here. A couple of times you asked people if they were making a statement or a question. What I think I may do, just to give you a breather, is to make a statement with a lot of questions. And just for the record, I'd like for you to have the opportunity to have your staff respond. I can't conclude from the discussion today where you are on warp speed. So I would like the definitive statement on exactly where you are. Was it good? Was it bad? Were there things that worked? Were there things that didn't work? I can't discern that from what you said here. I, for one, think that it was a signature accomplishment of President Trump, and the mRNA platform is something. I agree with that. I look forward to you giving us a detailed statement on exactly where you are with warp speed. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a trial lawyer. I'm a boring management consultant. Another question that we'll submit in the record, I'll give you directionally where we're going. I don't see how you go over 4 weeks from a public health expert with unimpeachable scientific credentials, a longtime champion of MAHA values, caring and compassionate and brilliant microbiologist, and 4 weeks later, fire her because at least the public reports say because she refused to fire people that work for her. So as somebody who advised executives on hiring strategies, number one, I would suggest in the interview you ask them if they're truthful rather than 4 weeks after we took the time of the U.S. Senate to confirm the person, just for the future nominee that we're going to have to consider. But I do also believe that some of your statements seem to contradict what you said in the prior hearing. You said you're going to empower the scientists at HHS to do their job. I'd just like to see evidence where you've done that, and I'm sure that you will have some. You will do nothing that makes it difficult or discourages people from taking vaccines. There seem to be several reports that would seem to refute that, but I'd rather you just respond to it. I'm not going to come here and impose my belief over any of yours. That, again, seems to be contradictory to the firing of a CDC director, the canceling of mRNA research contracts, firing advisory board members, attempting to stall NIH funding, eliminating funding for the I think $500 million for further mRNA research, and just want an answer for it. On H.R. 1, I believe you know my concerns about H.R. 1. I've had several meetings with, and H.R. 1 is the big, beautiful bill, OB3, whatever the brand is. But I'm still, I've got an office with 60 staff, including half of them in state office. I've had 3 different estimates of the economic impact on the state of North Carolina. Can I get your commitment? And I have been looking for somebody that's far more resourced than an office of 30 people up in here in D.C. to disprove my estimates with respect to the impact on North Carolina, period. And I've yet to have anybody. I would love to be embarrassed and be wrong, but I would like to get your commitment for people to tease through the numbers that I provided before the vote on H.R. 1 that says that if you normalize 3 independent estimates across a broad spectrum, $25 billion over 10 years. I don't need your response now. I want somebody to destroy my estimates, because to this point, the most resourced health agency in the world has only given me word salad responses, and I need that so that we can prepare for the response. $25 billion over 10 years is half of the rural relief fund over 5 years. And so we just need to have that fact as a matter of policy so that we can go in North Carolina and absorb it. And I know every state's different, and I'm assuming every one of my colleagues here have done the math for their states, not focused on that. But I want you to destroy my estimates if they're in fact wrong, and I want you to acknowledge them if in fact they're right. That will come into question as well. Mr. Kennedy, you've stated multiple times in response to other members' questions that that scientists were lying. We'll go back to the record in cases where you've said that. I'd just like to see the scientific evidence to substantiate that. I'm going to stipulate that you were honest and you had research behind it. We'll go back and figure out what scientific studies you believe are founded on lies and not scientifically viable. And then finally, I just want to give you an opportunity. Apparently in the exchange with Senator Bennett, you said you agreed with Dr. Levy's statements, who said that the mRNA vaccine caused serious harm, including death, particularly in young people. They said you agreed with that comment. Did you agree with that comment or not?
I think that's true, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, folks, and with that, we are turning now to a different national scale topic, and this is regarding human smuggling. Just a little bit earlier today, we saw Attorney General Pam Bondi joined by other officials in Tampa, Florida, to talk about various enforcement against human smuggling in different states of this nation. So let's listen in to their announcement.
Hey everybody, my name is Greg Kehoe. I'm the U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Florida. Thank you for coming. We have a presentation and a press release for you today and a press conference. And this is in dealing with alien smuggling and human trafficking, something that are priorities for the Department of Justice and for the Attorney General Pam Bondi. We have an array of U.S. attorneys here that are going to give you an idea of the cases that are before us. And just briefly, before I bring the Attorney General up, to my far left is Justin Simmons, U.S. Attorney Attorney for the Western District of Texas. To his right is Mike Drescher, the U.S. Attorney for Vermont, and to his right is Nick Ganji for the Southern District of Texas. On my far right is Matt Gagliotti, the Assistant Attorney General in charge of the Criminal Division. At this point, I'd like to present to you the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi.
Thank you. Thank you, U.S. Attorney Kehoe. Thanks for everything that you're doing, and to all our incredible U.S. attorneys around the country. My first day as Attorney General under President Trump's leadership, we announced that the Department of Justice would pursue the total elimination of cartels and transnational criminal organizations. Thanks to President Trump, many of these groups, many of these gangs are now classified as foreign terrorist organizations because they pose an extreme threat to not only our country, but to our world. They traffic drugs, weapons, and people. Every American community destroyed drives up their...
All right, we're going to get back to this earlier announcement in just a moment, but first, some breaking news that we're following. According to NBC News, President Trump is expected to sign an executive order tomorrow, essentially adding a secondary name for the Department of Defense. The secondary name is going to be called Department of War, according to NBC News reporting. And this is officially from 2 White House officials, so that's the source for this information. The signing of that executive order expected to come in the Oval Office. We should mention it won't officially rename the Department of Defense because that requires congressional approval, but apparently it's set to authorize Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to use Secretary of War and Department of War in different types of references, for example, official correspondence, in public addresses, communications, formal ceremonies, etc. And it also will require all of the executive departments and agencies to recognize and accommodate these secondary titles of Department of War in all of their internal and external communications. Of note, Congress actually established the department as the Department of War back in 1789, and then there was a name change from the Department of War to National Military Establishment under President Harry Truman. And then there was apparently, it organized under him all of the military services into this single organization that the Secretary of Defense leads. So once again, breaking here tonight, expectations of an executive order signed tomorrow, the president adding a secondary title to the Defense Department, which would be Department of War. We'll get you back now to this earlier briefing with Attorney General Pam Bondi talking about human smuggling.
And I cannot say enough good things about Secretary Noem. I was with her in Louisiana yesterday, and she is fighting to keep our country safe every single day. Just this week, Joint Task Force Alpha took 4 major enforcement actions. Right here in Tampa, we unsealed the indictment charging 12 defendants operating a massive, right here in Tampa, a massive illegal smuggling ring. The defendants engaged in a conspiracy to bring illegal aliens from Cuba to the U.S. for profit. They coached their clients, including children who came to airports alone, came to our country alone, were put on planes for connecting flights, lied to Border Patrol agents due to coaching, and law enforcement. They charged up to $40,000 per victim. They used Zelle to transfer over $7 million over the course of this scheme, and I believe had profits, cash, of over $18 million. And it's just not the southern border. In Vermont, and U.S. Attorney Drescher is here with us, we indicted Norma Lorenzo, a woman who allegedly worked with Canadian co-conspirators from Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, and El Salvador. Children were transferred to private residences, other airports, and in 2023, according to CBP, parts of Vermont and New York started seeing unprecedented traffic from illegal aliens. Law enforcement officers operating in these areas encountered aliens from 97 different countries, including China, Pakistan, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, North Korea, and Yemen. In the Southern District this week of Texas, and Nick Ganji's here, we secured the extradition of 3 men from Guatemala who have been charged in connection with a mass casualty alien smuggling event. This tragic event occurred in 2021 in Chiapas, Mexico, a semi-truck containing at least 160 illegal aliens crashed, resulting in the deaths of more than 50 people. The cost of human smuggling is huge. So many families are dying, so many people are dying. These smugglers used a variety of vehicles, including microbuses, tractor trailers, and cattle trucks to smuggle multiple Guatemalan aliens, including many unaccompanied minors, into this country. In the Western District of Texas, where Justin Simmons is our U.S. Attorney, we just this week charged 4 defendants with their role in a deplorable scheme smuggling unaccompanied children into the United States from Mexico. These monsters behind the operation drugged unaccompanied children coming into our country, giving them THC so they would be asleep when passing through customs. One of the children was overdosed so badly that the child had to go to the hospital. Since President Trump took office, Joint Task Force Alpha has charged 56 defendants, including convicting a monster who attempted to bring in Indian nationals into our country in sub-zero weather through Canada in the middle of a blizzard. This was a family of 4. This family was eventually found dead in a blizzard, with the father holding the 3-year-old little boy wrapped in a blanket with his glove covering his child's face, trying to save his life. In June, we arrested a Canadian-American citizen in New York for charging $1,000 for every illegal alien he smuggled over the St. Lawrence River into our country. One of the boats capsized, killing a family, including 2 children under the age of 3. A few weeks ago, we convicted a coyote in Texas. A coyote, of course, is someone who transports illegal aliens across state lines for money. In Texas, we charged him for charging $30,000 for every 10 illegal aliens that he could get to the Rio Grande. He got an additional $30,000 for every 10 illegal aliens that made it across the Rio Grande alive. That is why we are now expanding Joint Task Force Alpha. It has 5 steps. We will now cover, the task force will now cover our northern border in Canada, of course, and all of our maritime borders. Our incredible partner again at DHS, Kristi Noem, and I are expanding this to include our DEA, ATF, and FBI agents to this task force to give us even more manpower. We will receive more resources to prosecute these cases, and key figures in cartel, human trafficking, and transnational criminals. We will strengthen our collaboration with foreign law enforcement throughout this world to protect not only their citizens, but ours, and return these criminals to American soil for prosecution. Under President Trump, we have coordinated more closely with our U.S. attorneys' offices to protect unaccompanied children being smuggled into our country from exploitation. One of the task force's greatest accomplishments has been demonstrating how dangerous human smuggling and trafficking are for those being transported. For those who are considering paying to be smuggled into the U.S., it is not safe for you or for your families. These coyotes are coordinating with terrorist organizations collecting money from them to bring families and unaccompanied children into our country. These operations are getting people killed. Let me be clear. If you smuggle human beings, you will be found, you will be prosecuted, and you will be brought to justice. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what our borders are. The limit of where our country ends and another begins, but it does not limit our law enforcement capabilities to bring you to the United States and prosecute you and lock you up for as long as we can. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, General Bondi. I'm sure you, ladies and gentlemen, can see the commitment of the Attorney General to this endeavor. We just want to take a few minutes of more of your time and give you a little bit more detailed flavor of the cases that we have before you and the nature and extent of the horrific crimes that are taking place that General Bondi just outlined. After we finish these very brief comments, it will be open for questions at that point. And just bear with us, and we'll be there very soon. The first case that we're talking about is the case here in Tampa that General Bondi was talking about, United States versus Cabrera, which is 12 defendants, an international alien smuggling ring, and they also engaged in asylum fraud. And why did they do it? They did it for money and money alone. As General Bondi just noted, we have tracked at least $18 million trafficking through their account and laundered through their accounts to pay their expenses, to pay their co-conspirators. This was a profit-making motive that went on between 2021 and today, 2025. How did it happen? They used social media. They went on social media with Cuban individuals to tell them that they could get Cuban individuals and get them visas based on fraudulent conduct by putting their visas, which were based on European citizenship. They had co-conspirators throughout the world to gather these people up to try to get their money to participate in this. And I say co-conspirators. There are numerous co-conspirators. There were thousands of people, aliens, listed in their ledgers that they were doing this with. Their ledgers were sophisticated as any business that you will come across. Their ledgers had dates of travel, money owed, airlines used, smuggling routes. How did they do it? They brought these people through charters and commercial airlines through other countries. They put the fraudulent documentation together with these individuals. Of course, as General Bondi just noted, at $40,000 apiece. They spent up millions of dollars flying these people throughout the country before they came back into the United States. They would provide them with fraudulent visas based on the fact that they were saying that they were not in Cuba after 2011, when of course they were. With this fraudulent document, they coached these people once they came to enter into the United States. How did they coach them? They coached them to make sure you tell these people that you're a tourist. Make sure you tell them that you're just here for a visit. And of course, conceal the fact that you had come from Cuba. And then after and when you get into the United States, lay low for a while. Don't make any noise about things. Why? Because at the appropriate time, they wanted you to come forward to seek asylum, being a Cuban national. So they would then prepare the asylum applications, which were likewise fraudulent. So they're preparing fraudulent document to get into the country, preparing fraudulent documentation to get asylum. And ladies and gentlemen, this was all for money. And it was a sophisticated enterprise with multiple shell corporations being used and transferring money throughout the country. We have uncovered at least 27 known bank accounts with these people to transfer their money between and among each other, pay for expenses and people overseas, and using money to move in and out of their shell corporations to hide it, which is the substance of the money laundering charge. Suffice it to say, the bottom line of this is that it was a business, a criminal business that was set up for one reason and one reason only: to make money on the backs of these people and at the expense of the American people by defrauding them. And in doing so, they passed at least $18 million through their bank accounts. That's a brief overview of the Tampa case. Obviously, it is now open for review because it's no longer sealed. And I will if I can, I want to turn this over to my friend from the Southern District of Texas, Nick Ganji, who will give you an idea of the case that he is going to present from his district. Nick?
Thank you. Madam Attorney General. Good afternoon. My name is Nicholas Ganji, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Texas. The American people have been told time and time again that insisting upon a secure border and an orderly immigration process somehow lacks compassion. But what the disastrous record of the last 4 years has shown is that an open border is anything but compassionate. And perhaps the most pernicious and cruel outgrowth of our once open border is the rise of the cartel-backed human smuggling industry. And make no mistake, it is indeed an industry. Human beings are treated like commodities, stacked like cordwood in dangerous and sometimes deadly conditions. All it takes is one faulty air conditioner or one wrong turn of the steering wheel to turn a smuggling run into a mass casualty event. The saddest example of this is the 2021 smuggling crash in Chiapas, Mexico, where a tractor-trailer carrying 160 people overturned, costing the lives of 50, including children, and injuring more than 100 others. The Southern District of Texas, along with Joint Task Force Alpha, has worked tirelessly to bring justice to those responsible for this great tragedy. Last year, a grand jury in the Southern District of Texas indicted 6 Guatemalan nationals for conspiring to smuggle these victims into the United States. And on December 9th of last year, the 3rd anniversary of the crash, Guatemalan authorities arrested the 4 remaining conspirators who were residing overseas. I'm pleased to announce today that 3 of these alleged conspirators have just been extradited to the United States and are making their initial appearance today in Laredo, Texas, with a 4th defendant on the way. I am grateful to our Guatemalan partners for their assistance in delivering these defendants to us so that these accused smugglers can learn a little bit about what Texas justice looks like. But the Southern District of Texas' work with Joint Task Force Alpha has yielded other successes as well. A few notable examples: we indicted and convicted 14 defendants who conspired to smuggle hundreds of illegal aliens via dangerous methods, including packing them in suitcases, repurposed water tankers, and wooden crates with little ventilation or room to move. We recently obtained pleas from 6 smuggling defendants who, among other things, left a man to die of heat exhaustion in the Texas brush. We indicted and convicted a human smuggler that had transported dozens of illegal aliens, including minors, and then led police on a high-speed chase through the streets of Laredo. And we obtained a 103-month sentence against a former CBP officer who betrayed his oath and took bribes to allow illegal aliens and cocaine to pass through his lane at a port of entry. Smuggling is a wicked and remorseless business, and it has no place in any civilized society, let alone the United States. And the Southern District of Texas will do whatever it takes to eradicate this industry once and for all, and to put those responsible in prison for as long as the law allows. So for those considering coming to this country illegally, our message is clear. Don't do it. Don't put your life or safety or those of your loved ones into the hands of the cartel. They do not care if you or your children have access to food, water, or even air to breathe. They do not care if you live or die. And our message to these smugglers is equally clear. You can run, but you can't hide. If you're not already in cuffs, you will be in cuffs soon, because the United States does not forget. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to United States Attorney for the Western District of Texas, Justin Simmons.
Thank you all for being here today. My name is Justin Simmons. I'm the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Texas. Thank you, General Bondi, for organizing this today. Also want to thank President Trump for the encouragement and the motivation he's given all of us to take down these alien smuggling organizations and the cartels that they work with. You know, Juarez, Mexico is right across the border from El Paso, Texas, and for years, Juarez has been plagued by violence, kidnapping, and murder. Cartels have been warring over that area for decades because it's a key route for trafficking drugs and smuggling humans into the United States. These cartels have no bottom. There is no limiting principle on how low they will go to enrich themselves. We saw an example of this recently. in a case where a woman named Susana Guadian ran an alien smuggling organization out of Juarez. She worked with her husband Daniel, her daughter Diane, and Diane's husband Manuel Valenzuela to smuggle children from Mexico into the United States. Basically what she would do was contact U.S. drivers who would come across and pick up these children and then take them back across the border. Prior to being picked up, Susanna would prep these children by sometimes telling them what to say when they got to the POE, the port of entry, or a checkpoint. Other times she would give them THC gummies, as General Bondi said, to calm them and keep them compliant throughout the process. In this particular case, the children that were given the THC gummies were 12, 9, 3, and 2. When CBP recognized when they were trying to...
Folks, we'll get back to this briefing in just a moment, but we've got some breaking sports news to share with you here on Live Impact News. We've just learned a really troubling update regarding Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark. Looks like she is set to miss the rest of the season, including a potential playoff appearance. This is due to an injury. She herself announced this news on social media just moments ago. She posted a pretty lengthy post on X talking about it, but essentially she hasn't played since she injured her right groin in the final minute of the Fever's July 15th win at Connecticut. She also suffered a bone bruise later during recovery. And so her full statement here you can see on X, quote, "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling." She goes on to say, "I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continued to show up for me and for the Fever brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year, and now it is time to close out the season and claim our spot in the playoffs." We know that she's had 3 different muscle injuries that have forced her to miss a large portion of this season. She was in 13 games. She averaged 16.5 points, 8.8 assists, 5 rebounds per game. But really just disappointing news, and you can sense her disappointment here as she had to make this tough announcement today. Once again, breaking sports news tonight, Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark set to miss the rest of the season due to an injury. We'll continue to update you as we learn more. Meantime, we'll turn you back to this briefing from Attorney General Pam Bondi and other officials discussing human smuggling enforcement.
These cartels, these organizations do not care about you or your children when moving them across the border. So we're really happy that we were able to get arrest warrants this weekend and get at least 2 of these individuals, Diane and Manuel Valenzuela, off the street. The 2 other individuals, Susana and Daniel Guadian, are still at large, but we will do everything we can to bring them to justice as well. You know, nothing crosses the border without the cartel's permission, and nothing crosses without payment to the cartels. These cartels see children just like they see a kilo of Coke. Dollar signs. That's all they see. They care nothing about their well-being. Additionally, these organizations often use stash houses in American neighborhoods where they will put these aliens that they're smuggling across for days, weeks at a time. This endangers those neighborhoods, endangers those people who live in those areas, and it brings organized crime to Main Street USA. We will not have it. We will do everything we can to shut down these organizations because it hits the cartels where it counts, in their pocketbooks. That is all they care about, how much money they can make. And it makes America safer for Americans. It makes this place, this country, a place where you as an American can not just survive, but thrive. So that's what we're committed to. I want to thank our partners with Border Patrol, Customs and Border Protection, and HSI for their work on this case. I also want to thank Joint Task Force Alpha and their help putting this case and many other cases together. You know, in San Antonio earlier this year, we got life sentences on folks who had smuggled individuals in a tractor trailer into the United States. 54 individuals, 53 plus 1 unborn child, died in the back of that tractor trailer. So I'm really really thankful for Joint Task Force Alpha and the work they've been doing with us as well. We are on a mission to shut down these organizations and the cartels more broadly. In the Western District of Texas, this is what we do. Thank you very much.
So lest you think this problem is just on the south border in Texas and Florida, I'd like to bring up U.S. Attorney Mike Drescher from the District of Vermont. Mike?
Thank you. I want to thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for your remarks, and I want to thank you, U.S. Attorney Kehoe, for your hospitality hosting this event. I especially want to thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for bringing attention to the extraordinary work that the men and women of the United States Border Patrol and Homeland Security investigations are doing in Swanton sector, the portion of the U.S.-Canada border that includes Vermont, northern New York, and New Hampshire. Thanks to their work and the work of Joint Task Force Alpha, the United States Attorney's Office for the District of Vermont has obtained a 7-count indictment charging Norma Linda Lozano, who's 53 years old, of Ypsilanti, Michigan, with 1 count of conspiracy to commit alien smuggling and 6 counts of bringing aliens to the United States who lacked permission to enter or to remain in this country. As alleged in court filings, through much of 2024, Lozano repeatedly smuggled and attempted to smuggle illegal aliens into the United States from Canada. She did this for profit, negotiating payment with her Canadian co-conspirators and coordinating with them the locations where she would pick up her loads of non-citizens, aliens entering the country. As alleged, Lozano's methods included, echoing some of the comments we've already heard today, hiding a child alongside luggage in the far recesses of the vehicle that she was traveling in, disregarding the child's safety and welfare. These offenses are serious for several reasons. First, they aid and abet those who are seeking to enter the country illegally. Second, they exploit those people who are desperate and misguided enough to try to enter the country illegally. On the northern border, such illegal crossings frequently involve trekking through forests and swamps in inhospitable and dangerous circumstances. And third, they facilitate the unvetted aliens entering the United States for unknown and possibly nefarious purposes. In short, offenses such as those charged pose a risk to the nation's security. And the United States Attorney's Office for the District of Vermont is proud to work with the United States Border Patrol, Homeland Security, and Joint Task Force Alpha to help secure the northern border. Ms. Lozano was arrested Tuesday of this week in the Middle District of Georgia, where today she had her initial appearance in Albany, Georgia. She's been transferred to have subsequent appearances in the District of Vermont. Last, I want to recognize the hard work of Assistant United States Attorneys Matthew Lasher and Michelle Ara, who, under the leadership of Jonathan Opart, the Chief of the Criminal Division for the District of Vermont, have teamed up with Task Force Alpha Trial Attorney Jenna Reed to seek to hold Lozano and others engaged in similar conduct responsible for these offenses. Thank you.
We're ready to take questions. If you want to direct them to any of the states, just let us know. Questions? Well, how about if we start on this side of the room and go over? Any questions?
Are you seeing any connections between the cartels operating on the southern border that have been designated as transnational criminal organizations and the smuggling organizations in New York and Vermont? And then the second question for you, Attorney General, a judge ruled recently that the president's deployment of the National Guard in LA was illegal. Excuse me, does that ruling affect your plans to send resources to Chicago at all?
First, to the National Guard, we will be following the law. We are appealing that ruling, and we plan on being successful in court. We anticipate very much being successful. Back to this, yes, these transnational criminal organizations, since we have secured completely our southern border, are finding various ways to come into our country. And as our U.S. Attorney in Vermont knows, the northern border, it always has been, but it's gotten much worse much more prevalent because it's a multi-billion-dollar business, the smuggling of drugs, guns, and humans. And so they're not going to quit once we secured our southern border. But yes, we're stopping them at our northern border, and that's why we're also increasing Joint Task Force Alpha to include our maritime ports as well. Any other questions?
First for you, or I'm not sure you want to do the Tampa part of it first, but when it comes to Tampa, do you have any idea as to why they set up shop here in Tampa? And then the other question about Tampa would just be, how much of this is going on right now? This seems like a pretty deep thing that was happening here. Can you just start throwing darts at a map and find these kinds of groups?
Can I start in on that first? Because I know you're a Tampa reporter, and that's why I think it was so important to have it here, because people are expecting this in Texas and big cities, and Tampa is a big city, but it is everywhere. It touches, I think, every city in our country. And traveling around this country, it's everywhere. It's everywhere you go because our borders were wide open, and guns, drugs, gangs were coming in, terrorist organizations, into every city in our country. We arrested very recently, 20 minutes outside of our nation's capital, one of the top MS-13 members in the entire country. One of them was arrested also in Portland, Oregon. So it's very organized. They are spread throughout this country. And U.S. Attorney Kehoe, I'll let you take it from Tampa.
With regard to Tampa, I mean, this has been going on for a significant period of time. Our investigation takes us back to at least 2021. And these people aren't some individuals or from far-off areas. They're from neighborhoods right here in Tampa, from addresses that you know, that you could pass in Publix or walk on the street. Why did they set up here? Because they were started up in 2021, operated undetected, and let's be perfectly honest, as General Bondi said, $18 million in an entity that was moving in a tremendous speed, but in a relatively short period of time. $7 million going through Zelle alone. So why did they come here? Because they lived here, they were here, they set up and did business here, and it was profitable.
Were they availing themselves of different services, schools and parks? I mean, were they living otherwise ordinary lives?
From all intents and purposes, I can't answer that question factually, and I don't want to mislead you, but I don't have any information to say that they weren't. I can't say that they were sending their children to local schools, but they were certainly living here and doing business here.
Attorney General, if I can just ask you, now that you're seeing this from the inside, you obviously spent time in state government doing law enforcement. Now that you're seeing it from the federal level, how would you characterize what you've become aware of in terms of how much this is going on around the country? I mean, it seems like these cases are just a few of what you could highlight.
And these were not coordinated arrests or extraditions. These are 4 that all happened in a week. And because the majority involved unaccompanied children in human smuggling, we wanted to highlight those and why we're expanding our task force. It's shocking being in the state of Florida, being a state prosecutor, but now on a national level and an international level, seeing the amount of human smuggling that goes on and child exploitation and the amount of drugs that freely flowed into our country for 4 years has truly been horrific. And we are doing everything in our power to stop it. And we're also meeting with our partners around the world to work hand in hand with them as well.
Can you characterize how many more cases are happening in Tampa, Hillsborough County, Florida?
So just since January 20th, we have charged, in Tampa, you're specifically Tampa, but Joint Task Force Alpha has charged 55 defendants just recently. Since January, 55 have been charged. And these are all, no, from all over the country. Major cases. But I'll let U.S. Attorney Kehoe answer Tampa. It's everywhere.
Yes, I mean, to take what the general says, this is everywhere. This is just not a part-time thing. Why? Because it's a profitable thing. Other cases under investigation here in Tampa? Yes. Numerous cases? Yes. I can't get into the details of those, but this is not the last case of this fashion that we're going to do. Border Patrol and HSI are out there day after day, week after week, conducting investigations. So will there be more such cases being indicted along the way? Their answer is yes. yes. I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but I assume that they would echo my response in that regard.
Take one more. Go ahead. Good afternoon to you all. So for the cartels that are successful in smuggling children over, what are they doing with them once they're successful in that?
The children?
Yeah.
They're either being trafficked. We've seen multiple cases of children being trafficked who have come across our borders, come into our country, and they're being put on planes by themselves. When I was at the border in September, I went to the border in September in Yuma, Arizona, and they had a term, and it was called a recycled child. And these Border Patrol agents were seeing a little boy coming across our border multiple times. They saw him coming in as part of a family unit, which is often how they use children to get horrible criminals into our country, posing as a family unit. But these kids are coming from all over the place, and we don't know, many of them, where their parents were. That's why we're struggling to find that out, to prosecute all of them. But it was a recycled child, and these very vigilant Border Patrol agents recognized a little boy coming across. This was last September. And they couldn't figure out how he was going back and forth so easily. Well, our borders were wide open. And if you dropped your IDs, I saw IDs that were just piled up from every country you can imagine. If you dropped your passport, if you dropped your ID, one, they had a military member from China, dropped his ID. You could walk right into this country and say you were from anywhere you wanted to. And that's what we have stopped, and that's what we're going to prosecute. So they're using these children, many of them, to exploit them to help other gangs, cartels throughout this country. Some of these cases, when we're arresting these cartel members, they have children with them who are not related to them in their homes. Thank you. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for taking such close attention and realization to what's happening throughout our country affecting children. Have a great day.
And with that, we're going to turn to another announcement from today. Really, Governor Josh Stein addressing the State Employees Association of North Carolina, talking once again about worker shortages on the state front and some of his pushes to try to recruit more people to work for the state, and some of his concerns, he says, with the policies in place and how they do things right now that he says are getting in the way of that. So let's listen into this announcement from Greensboro earlier today.
North Carolina. Good afternoon, everyone. Kirk, thank you for the introduction. Thank you and Artis for your leadership of this most important organization. A year ago, I was with you all, actually a year ago, 2 days from now, I was with you all as we readied for the election in November. Well, with your help, we got it done. We won by 15 points. And at this point, I've been serving as your governor for about 8 months now. It is an incredible honor. And I got to tell you, my biggest takeaway is that I love this job. I want to thank you for your support. I'm pleased to see some members of my cabinet and some members of the Council of State will be joining you all later today. Particularly grateful to see Stacey Meyer, the Director of the Office of State Human Resources. She is working tirelessly, as are we all, to make state government hiring easier, faster, and better. The work that I want to give the greatest praise to is yours. You North Carolina state employees, I want to thank you for all that you do. You help to make North Carolina a welcoming place where people want to live, work, and raise their families. You push our state forward every day. You power our government in so many ways. You serve serve the people of our state. I've been working in state government myself for 25 years now, and I'm married to another former longtime state employee. I know the sacrifices you make and the commitment that you bring to your work. Every day, I am proud to work alongside each of you. Thank you for what you do. As I look around this room and all these great people, I see determined, resilient, public-spirited individuals. That is true for anyone who chooses to spend their career in public service. It was especially evident in Western North Carolina in the wake of Hurricane Helene. If you are a scenic member who traveled from the West, or you're a scenic member whose work brought you to Western North Carolina to help with the recovery, would you please stand for us all? I know that Hurricane Helene wreaked havoc on so many of you, on your work, your lives, and in whatever way the storm impacted you, my heart goes out to you. But without missing a beat, you all got back to work immediately to serve others. You put your own needs behind you in order to put ahead and prioritize other people. No matter the role you played, whether you were in the field or you're in the office, whether you're focused on building back or moving forward, thank you. Thank you for what you do. As you keep doing that work, please know that I am in your corner and I'm advocating for you in the work that you do. I've been pleased to work on a bipartisan basis with the General Assembly to sign 2 Hurricane Helene relief bills into law totaling more than $1 billion in economic relief. It's a strong start, but it's only a start. We have much more work to do. I am calling on the General Assembly, and especially the United States Congress, to increase their investment in hurricane recovery relief for Western North Carolina. I am also calling on our legislature to pass a meaningful raise for all state employees. The legislature has passed a number of bills, some good that I signed and some bad.
All right, folks, and our time here on Live Impact is coming to a close in just a couple of minutes. But first, we wanted to kind of set the table for what you'll see in the next hour, because we've got more of our extended Panthers coverage coming your way. Of course, we're getting you ready. NFL season just getting underway already tonight, but Panthers play Sunday. So we've got coming up at 9 o'clock here on WCNC Plus our Nick Sturdivant chatting with Eugene Robinson about what we can expect come Sunday. So stick around here and buckle up, because we'll have lots more Panthers coverage in the weeks to come. Thanks for being with us here on Live Impact. I'll see you next time.